Well, this is a sudden surprise. I'm back with more Total Drama vlogs, but it's not just any TD vlog. I'm gonna do vlogs on the recent Total Drama Island Reboot series. I'm sure a lot of you may know that the Total Drama Island Reboot is sorta available to everyone, but the problem is the first season has been completed and it's only been available to some countries of the world like Italy and the UK. However, as I'm making this video, there has yet to be an announcement on when the first season is going to be released in other parts of the world like North America, which is a major problem since that's the continent it originated from and how its popularity grew rapidly. Because of this, the internet has no patience or manner and decided to leak the episodes on YouTube or other safe preservations. I couldn't resist the temptation and ended up seeing the videos from the former, from snippets of the challenges, the eliminations and confessionals, to even the reaction videos. I still wanted to wait a bit longer for the release date before I do anything related to the reboot, but I waited months for any sort of update about the official release dates in my region and still nothing. So I decided, you know what, I've lost my patience over this. I want to talk about this reboot. I want to talk about the new cast, the challenges, and everything. Now there is still a catch to this. I'm still going to put my official Wonder Review episode of the Total Drama Island Reboot on hold until it's finally available on Max. I want to make it as fair as possible for the Total Drama Island Reboot, and I'm still going to binge watch the first season once it's finally available on streaming, just so it can get renewed for another season. So on the first episode of the first season of the Total Drama Island Reboot, Chris McLean has once again hosted, but not voiced by Kristen Potentia, but instead voiced by Terry McGarren, who did the voice of Dawn from the Redonkulous Race. And yeah, clearly not a good replacement. Now, to Terry's credit, he still captured the cynical and unfriendly nature of Chris McLean, but the problem is, the more he talks, the more I think of Don from the Redonkulous Race, not Chris. Shiv Hatchett also returns, but he's still voiced by Devin Mack from Total Drama Rama, and he's still good and still the same as he was in all the Total Drama universes. So just like the original series, a bunch of campers decided to stay at this yucky summer camp to win $1 million, but in order to win that prize money, they had to compete in life-threatening challenges. There are 16 campers. The camper who stays on Total Drama Island the longest without getting voted off will win $1 million. For the first episode, Meet the Victims, the first challenge is a blindfold challenge. 2 members will be blindfolded, while 2 members navigate the blindfolded member through an obstacle course such as deep mud puddles, fire coals, and murder hornets. Once they pass through the obstacle, they must grab a bucket of chum and bring it back to their team. The other 4 players must lift their chum buckets to their navigators. If they drop their chum buckets, they lose the challenge. The first team to bring their chum buckets to the top with their navigators wins immunity. The losers will vote someone out. In episode 2, Pirates of the Cabbage Bean, it's a pirate-themed challenge. Their job is to sink their opponent's team ship. They will use cabbages as cannonballs, but if a player gets thrown into the water, they're out of the challenge. The first team to have their ship sink loses. And in the third episode, Drowntown Abbey, 1 member from each team will be trapped inside these tubes filled with water. The only way to get them out of it is through a combination number, so the players outside the tube must go through an obstacle course such as rope climbing while avoiding a bear, crawl through electrical wires, slide through slippery grease, and swing towards a combination number and bring it back to the tube. The first team to free their team member wins. Before I go over the challenges, I think it's only fair to talk about what did I think about the reboot characters since it is their first introduction to the Total Drama series. First up on the Ferocious Trout is Millie. She's a researcher that's trying to do some research why her generation is doing some epic fails. I'm not 100% sure that her reason for researching on this is either accurate or relevant, but she's fine. But I do like her interactions between Priya as best friends. Next up is Axel, and she is a zombie survivalist. However, unlike Sean, who is afraid of the Walking Dead, she is more prepared than Sean and not afraid of anything. I actually like her as a character being this zombie survivalist, and I even had a Total Drama theory that she might be the daughter of Jasmine and Sean. And yes, I even saw the Easter egg that Sean didn't survive the apocalypse. And speaking of surviving, Priya is a hardworking, determined Total Drama player that's trying to win Total Drama because her parents have been raising her to compete on Total Drama in case the reboot comes out. However, the thing with Priya is that she wants to win Total Drama Island so she can go to med school. Winning Total Drama Island is basically her parents' dreams. And let me tell you, they've really been training Priya ever since she was born, even with that bungee jump thing on the mountain. But on a scale of 1 to 10, I give Priya's gameplay performance a 9 out of 10. Next up is Hegazias, aka Z, And Z is my favorite reboot character. He reminds me of Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. He's basically the cool character, always going with the flow, always chilling out, always drinking his favorite soda. He's like a stone character without actually being stoned. And what's interesting about Z is that he's actually an amputee, who was basically born with one leg, so he had a robotic leg. But he came up with a game strategy that he would lie to everyone on how he lost his leg in order to gain some attention, but still fall under the radar. Contestant number 5 is Ripper, and oh my goodness, I hated this character. Okay, so Ripper is basically this man-child whose only goal throughout this entire series that he's trying to break a world record on farting. That's it. Basically, he's a rip-off of Owen, but lacks any sort of joy and positivity. And throughout the series, he cares nothing but himself and his steamboat record, and always whines about nerds and girls. He's like one of those annoying clickbait grifters on the internet that's insecure about his manliness and is secretly afraid of girls, pretty colors, and even cartoons. So if you want to know who was my least favorite reboot character, well, there it is. So let's get back to some favorites like Damien, who, unlike most of the cast, has never seen a single episode of Total Drama Island. He's just here for the $1 million because his friends told him. And what was Damien's dreams like in the first 3 episodes? Well, he seems like a pretty nice guy, but when the challenge gets tough, he really gets scared throughout most of the challenges, like the pirate challenge with the sharks, and the 3rd challenge when he was picked to go inside the tube. And ever since the 3rd challenge, Damien made a personal goal that he would get voted out of the show. The reason why he can't quit the show like DJ did in Season 2 is because if he quits, he owes Chris $1 million. Must be a new contract, I guess. But overall, I still like Damien. Even if he's not competitive as Axel or Priya, he's still a pretty nice and cool character. And now the moment you've been waiting for, it's Lauren, aka Scary Girl! And for her character, she's like a little Harley Quinn, but all she desires is screaming and death, but mostly the screaming, because if anyone dies, she will never hear anyone scream again. And let me tell you, Scary Girl really lived up to her name, and I really don't know where her head is at in any of this. But as creepy as Scary Girl is, she did bring a lot of energy throughout most of the reboot. She even helped in episodes 2 and 3. But if I can give you a word of wisdom, the next time you go to a funeral, be sure to run away from Scary Girl if you see her. And for the last member of the Ferocious Trout team is Chase, who is an online streamer for a series called 3 Guys and a Girl in a Beach House, which is now 3 Guys in a Beach House. Basically, on their series, they like to pull pranks towards each other, as well as dares and other stunts. But the reason why their show is now called 3 Guys in the Beach House is because Chase's girl, Emma, dumped him. And you want to know why? Well, we'll find out soon enough. But as for Chase as a character, yeah, I can definitely see why Emma dumped him. He's not even a good player. Not even his prank videos come into play at all. And now we move on to the second team, the Frogs of Death, starting with Emma, Chase's ex-girlfriend. And yes, Chris put both of them on the show on purpose for some more drama. Now, the reason why Emma dumped Chase is because he pulled a prank on Emma that she didn't even know about. He pulled the brakes out of her car and crashed into a pet store that almost killed her. And she felt guilty over what just happened at the pet store, and she's super mad that she didn't know about the prank, so she dumped him. So Emma is basically torn between 2 places, either dealing with a breakup or give Chase a taste of his own medicine. I do like Emma in this, and I do like the first few episodes of the series of her dealing with a breakup. And I can definitely see why she's having a hard time to get over Chase, because she either can't stop talking about him, or Chase doesn't know when to quit on trying to get back to her. Next member for the Frogs of Death, let's all welcome Total Drama's first ever openly gay character, Bowie. When it comes to his character and personality, he's flamboyant but is super athletic. His goal is basically trying to win the crown, specifically the $1 million. In fact, there's even a good joke that he actually won the crown for both Prom King and Prom Queen during his audition. But he also had a good solo game by forming the first ever reboot alliance with Emma, and he seems to have an interesting relationship with Raj. Next up is Mary Kate, MK for short, and how does she play the game? Through thievery. She is basically a pickpocket. She steals stuff and nobody notices. But she also has her own gameplay in mind, hacking into the Total Drama confessional so she can learn about everybody's secrets. Why do I get the feeling that she's also responsible for leaking the reboots? She really has this antagonistic role, and she's not here to make friends or anything, she's just here for the money. Yeah, she was really an enjoyable character, and she definitely sealed the show. The next group of contestants comes with a package deal. They are Wayne and Raj, hockey players for the Snow Owls. They're not like Katie and Sadie where they share a brain or anything, they basically have this brotherhood-like friendship. Even though they're not the smartest players, they still show good sportsmanship since they are part of a hockey team, even though not everyone can understand their hockey language. The sixth member on the Frog's Death is Caleb, and he is Justin from Total Drama Island. That's all I got to say. There's nothing interesting about him. He's basically the same as Justin, being the gorgeous looking one that everyone can't resist. Which also made him the most boring character in the first season since we've already seen the handsome guy trope before in the first season, and in the third season. So let's spice things up with Nichelle LaDonna, who is actually a movie celebrity. In fact, most of the reboot characters know who she is. She starred in a bunch of action movies. But there's just one tiny thing when it comes to her starring in an action movie that she doesn't want to reveal for her fans. But despite that, she was actually an enjoyable character, and I can definitely see her doing some directing roles thanks to the events from the second episodes. But let's move from a movie celebrity to an online celebrity to the final member of the Total Drama Island reboot, Julia, who is a social media influencer. And in her online series, she liked to present some positive energy, and she presented her audition in a very awkwardly done video edit. But really, she just came to the island to gain more followers so she can grow as a person. The reason why I did the quote-unquote, well, we'll get to her later in the later episodes. So when I saw her on the reboot and how she was playing the game, I always presumed her as Dawn from Revenge of the Island if she was an online influencer. But for now, the only thing I can say about Julia in the first 3 episodes is just, whatever. So now that we finally look over the new characters for the reboot, how did the challenge start out in the first 3 episodes, and what were their interactions like? Well, so far, it really captured the spirit of the original series. Technically, yes, there were a few problems with it, like they never explained how Camp Womonogwa came to the surface again, even though it sank to the bottom in All-Stars. Yeah, and I didn't like the new intro because it didn't capture the spirit and rhythm of the original intro. But for everything else, it definitely feels like a real Total Drama season. In fact, if you watch the first episode, the first challenge is actually an homage to a classic Survivor challenge, where one member had to navigate a bunch of blind members through an obstacle course, maze, or puzzle. Even some of the original challenges are actually fresh and new, like the Pirate Ship Challenge and the Obstacle Course Death Challenge. It's also really nice that Chef has more lines in this than his other appearances in all the Total Drama original seasons. During the elimination ceremonies, he points out the players' flaws, and he does give a good explanation why these specific players might end up going home. But my personal favorite throughout the elimination is when the players walk towards the marshmallow ceremony. The way they build the music, all the dangers that have been hiding behind the players. It just points out, even though one player might be up for elimination and might end up going home, there's still a reminder that everyone is still on the chopping block, and there is still a sense of unpredictability. So there you have it, the Total Drama Island reboot is off to a great start with the first 3 episodes. The challenges were enjoyable, the interactions were genuine, and most of the reboot characters were likable. How far will Total Drama Island go with this new reboot, and when will the next Total Drama vlog be released? Even I don't know, but in the meantime, I'll see you next time on Total Drama Island!